All right, everyone here? All mics up?
I assume so.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure everything is okay. That everyone is in. We we're gonna start. Like I said before. Um, Good afternoon and good evening to everyone who will be listening to this in recording or who is here now. I'm glad for you guys to come into the clubhouse. Thank you very much. It's awesome feeling that we can be able to critique on June's DC and Marvel shows and movies that came out this particular month. For me, there's a little bit of TV shows that was going on during the movie saga as well. So I'm going to be talking about that and also talking about little tidbits about the writer's strike. I'm going to be talking about certain movies that are are kind of in the back hold because of that, and I'm gonna mix it up the two of certain things that is in production at the same time of the writer's strike. First thing I'm gonna be talking about is Superman and Lois. Superman and Lois just finished their their season. Their season was very awesome. If you haven't watched Superman and Lois from the TV show, I suggest you watch it because it's um, very good in its own ways from a different time and space and realm from the DC universe. I haven't really picked on which timeline this Superman is particularly in because he's not mixed in to Arrowverse. So I'm not particularly sure. But thank God they have a fourth season coming in. Um, if you haven't known anything about that, I will be posting this up very soon. You guys haven't heard anything about Superman and Lois?
So, not not officially necessarily about Superman and Lois, but right now Warner Brothers doesn't really know what their plans are with the character of Superman in general. You have the whole issue with Cavill, like will he come back? Is he not going to come back? And then of course James Gunn said that he won't come back to be, continue his role as Superman. Um, there's of course a bunch of different rumors out there that for the whatever title uh, Superman film that Gunn is going to be working on, he's recasting someone. So there's already fan castings out there. But in terms of Superman and Lois itself, it's weird because it's kind of like its own separate thing, but also not. Uh, because there has been with those type of like the TV shows, these DC live TV shows, sometimes you see a little trickle effect where they go into like the cinematic universe, and other times they ignore it. So I think it's just take it like its own individual story. I don't think it's going to connect to the movies, but Superman and Lois is just its own thing, and you got to take it at face value. Just enjoy it, or choose not to watch it. Whatever choice you decide, it's its own entity, I believe, and I don't think they'll mix it in because it might get a little bit too messy.
But I don't know if you know from the comics, there is a Superboy.
Yeah,
This one is
yeah,
portraying
Superboy.
that. This one is portraying that one. But this one, I don't. You may know more than me, Mikey. That was there two Superboys?
Comic wise, um, so you have, of course, you have Superman. Then you have, so yeah, Superboy. I
I know about the
think there's
dog.
really only. Oh no, Crypto. Yeah, everyone knows about Crypto. They even had a movie, with the Rock, not too long ago that was like animated between the Super Pets. I think it was called.
Yep.
But, but as far as I know, I believe there's only one Superboy. I gotta come. I gotta confirm because there might be one, not like added on, but
Yeah.
a lot of times they not retcon, but especially DC
Yeah.
likes to kind of retcon their stuff. Like restart their continuity or what's set as canon. They like to refresh it here and there. So I'm not like top of my head. No, I know there's one for sure, but there could be a second one. But Superboy's story is completely different than the normal Superman that we know of.
Yeah, because for me, there's two different ones. There's one that's Superboy, right? And then from the Teen Titans, he was created. You feel me? Those are two different ones. To do different ones as I know. But like
But
you said,
aren't
huh?
they the same character though? Aren't they the same character though? He just
No,
he
no, they're
joins the
not.
Teen Titans to.
No, they're not running the same character. Of course, they wouldn't do that. But from from our understanding, we only know there's only one Superboy. We could be wrong. We will rehash this another time because
Mhm.
there's other things I would love to talk about in the Superman itself, since we're gonna be having Superman Legacy coming in. We will be talking a lot about Superman in general, so we will rehash. I just know that there's, just like you know, that there's one Superboy. If um if Miss Bella can check for me, that would be most helpful, and then tell me later. Thank you. But yeah, by any chance, Mikey, do you know what timeline um from the comics of Superboy? Because that's how we could know about this Superman and Lois.
Um, I mean, no. In terms of the timeline, no. Uh, but you also gotta keep in mind, once again, like it's tough to with Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers, including with their live shows, they don't they cherry pick what they want and they do their own continuity comparably to like the comics. Like Marvel's structure a lot of times is, even though they don't necessarily take it to heart, they take the biggest pieces from their comics and they can and they do their own story. Um, DC has been notorious with their live action stuff to kind of change the timings of events, when things have to happen, when characters have to come around, and not just for Superman and Lois. A good example is like the live action Teen Titans. How
That one was
you
good
have
for me.
Yeah, but you have, in this example, you have Robin,
Yeah,
and then you also have the Red Hood, which is, spoiler, no one knows it's Robin as well. Um, so it's a weird thing because Red Hood doesn't come into the picture until the Robin that we know, Dick Grayson, is already his own superhero. He's already grown up. He's no longer part of Titans or anything like that. So
correct,
yeah, yeah.
correct.
So meaning, and even that's a little bit strange because that one's a HBO show. So the writing is different, but the whole idea I'm trying to say is, with DC, we can't just say, let's look at the timeline of the comics and see what's gonna, how's that gonna relate to the live action stuff?
Because
Because
Because the thing is with with the TV, right? It explains the the timeline. It explains each Earth, like like her cousin. Her cousin is from a different Earth, set by a number. You feel what I'm saying? Just as well as Marvel did. I don't know if you picked up on that. When
Mm,
I don't know if you watched the Flash TV show from 1 through 9, but I have. Um,
hmm.
and did you?
No, no, I've never watched Flash, but that's yeah, the same way as Marvel has different Earths, different universes. The same
Yeah.
way DC has the same thing. Yeah, I know that. That's why you gotta have the Outworlds stories of DC. Like just how Marvel had like Marvel Zombies. There's a DC version of DC Zombies. There's a world where Batman isn't good. Just it's all the different storylines. So yep.
Of
That's
course.
why I think that's why I think when it comes to those shows like Superman and Lois and whatnot, they're kind of just doing their own thing. They're like, oh, we don't have to necessarily make it connect. They're just saying it could be its own separate entity and go with the flow. I could be wrong, but mm, anything else you want to touch on? Hello? Yes. Oh yeah, I forgot they had a kid. Most of the times they don't really talk about the kid. The closest in both live action or animated variations that even come close to talking about his child is a movie called All Star Superman, and that one's not a canon story. That's like a story of Superman basically when he becomes super super OP and super powerful because Lex Luthor has a plan to try to give him cancer by making him go super close to the sun, and it backfires and it alters his DNA, and basically now he becomes so strong that even kryptonite doesn't affect him. And I mean, he goes, I say like literal god level. Like he has a plant that eats stars. He's able to do like Dragon Ball C level stuff, crush a star with his bare hands and feed it to his plant. He's able to cure. He even gives Lois a serum that allows her to attain some of his powers momentarily, so they're able to have a kid. But other than that, it's rare that we even talk about his son. Everyone knows Superboy, like the clone that becomes like he kind of becomes an unofficial son to him. But forgot he had a kid with Lois.
So Bella, there's only one Superboy, correct? So this TV series, right? That we watched together. What timeline is that one? According to the um comics of what's there. Yeah, that's what we definitely need because um that one is going to be very pertaining to Superman and Lois next time when we will be talking about this because it's very awesome that we talk about different iterations of uh Superman within itself, because like there's there's at least maybe higher than 60 different actors playing Superman. I mean, yeah, Superman, and not many actors really play Superboy to actually understand um Superman as raising a son, per particularly to that aspect. Superman and Lois is doing that, is portraying that. Not in the movies, but um, I guess the director or the writer wants to stick to that particular timeline. That's why I'm so animated about the timeline, because I want to make sure that the writer is staying true to comics. Because even a little bit, it don't have to be all of it. If it is all, it'll be most great. If it's a little bit, I give them credit for the little bit. At least they put something in there as a commemoration. Commit is that word is very hard for me to say. Um, but a standing ovation, a standing ovation to the comics. That's what I would hope for Superman and Lois. Next topic that I will be talking about is my main thing that I talk about mostly a lot, and not many people like it, but it is what it is. You know, it's called Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights. Some people hate it. Some people don't understand it. Um, I only watched it just to see what type of iteration they want to propose. This right here, if you see on the top, Mikey, if you see on the top, this is what they're doing after one season to this show, because this show is not getting any views.
Hold
Um,
on, let me try to find it.
Repeat that.
I'm trying to find whatever you shared. I'm trying to look at it.
So yeah,
Let's see.
this TV series, it wanted to portray that after Dick Grayson, after Dick, after Red Hood left, I believe, after Red Hood left, then this is supposed to be the adopted son. While while Robin is a girl. We
Mm,
I know in the comics we have a girl Robin, you know. Um so this Gotham Knights is portraying um what girl Robin had to deal with, as the son of Batman had to endure, and also Two Faces in it. So you're getting three different stories at once.
to be honest, I
Wow.
didn't even know this. I didn't know this was a thing.
Huh?
The Gotham Knights. I'll be honest. I didn't even know this was a thing. I know Gotham Knights, the PlayStation game that came out, or not PlayStation, but like, the game that came out recently, the video game.
Mm.
That one was also mixed reception, but that wasn't necessarily due to writing. That was due to how the studio who made it decided to make that game. Um, but I'll be honest, I didn't even know it was a TV show. So maybe that speaks volumes to why they canceled it, or to a certain extent,
Do you,
why
do you believe
CW.
do you quick question. Do you believe that, since you never heard of it, it just clicked to my head. You think it's marketing?
Mm, maybe, Honestly, though, what I think it is because again, the CW, who is either owned or bought by Warner Brothers, when it comes to their live action shows, right? They have an entire different template at the very beginning, right? This is before DC tried to do their whole live action movie storyline, connectivity, universe, just how Marvel has it, right? So they already had it in the works. Arrowverse was the first one. I mean, not Arrowverse. Arrow, was the first one they really
No,
had
no, no,
going
no,
for
no, no,
them.
no. Correction. Smallville.
True, but Smallville by itself didn't have the success that Arrow did. Smallville was like a cult classic. So Smallville was around. I mean, in terms of
But
in the
Arrow came
past.
in. Arrow came in after maybe 5 seasons of Smallville
Yeah, but
because Arrow was in Smallville, and then that's when Arrow has his own thing.
okay, fair. But what I'm trying to say is, whatever the continue, the I guess the whole plan, comic book by comic book or character by character was, it was before DC, or rather not DC, rather Warner Brothers said this is what the movie slate's going to be.
Hmm.
So the TV shows for a while they had solid writing, but a lot of them they did what a lot of good TV shows do. It's they extend it and it outstays its welcome, right? So a lot of the good ones, like Flash, Arrow, Gotham, at the very beginning, they outstayed their welcome in viewership because it's different, compared to consuming media like on Netflix or Hulu where you could just binge. Now you gotta wait episode by episode on a cable channel that nowadays most people don't even really have cable. So you already had
Mm.
that. You already had that issue going with it. It's outstaying its welcome. The writing was like, do I really want to wait for a season 7? Because even longtime fans of Flash, even though I never watched it, I hear between the lines of family members or friends that have watched it and the last seasons, they don't really like it. They don't like how it's going. They feel like like I said, it outstayed its welcome. So when you had all that, CW at the end of the day, they have to do ratings, they got to get advertisements, they got to make money. So it looks like for a lot of their shows, they either canceled it or they tried to do like weird changes to kind of just to appease the masses, and they never clicked. Like for example, look at the Batgirl movie that they just said, we're gonna cancel. They spend more than $5 million making that movie, and they said we're not gonna even do it. All right, either movie or TV show, something like that. And this has become a pattern, you know. And then things got a little bit more messy whenever they were like, "Oh, we're gonna make it that the TV shows are gonna fit in somehow in the movies," and then they said, "Never mind, we were just kidding." It's just disorganized. So when you have that type of this things that are disorganized normally, and then you have shows that overstay their welcome, and then you also have the lack of accessibility. Because I don't tune into the CW, you know what I mean? Like I'm not watching TV like that. If I want to watch something, my media sources are Hulu, Netflix, or Amazon Prime. So it's marketing, but also even the little marketing that they did, it must have sucked. It must have not been enough to really get enough people engaged because they got to answer for the sins of the past. And a lot of times, studios like that, they choose not to.
That gives it a great insight of why they canceled Gotham Knights. Um, to me, the writing for me, if you watch it, it's gonna pop up on Netflix or some other entity, because you might be right, but at the same token, um, it doesn't own by Warner Brothers anymore. It owns by Netstar, and I don't know if you know that Netstar it's on a debt because of what Warner Brother was doing. before. I don't know if you know that. Now,
No, I've never heard of Netstar.
yeah,
But the whole idea is honestly, it's not the issue. Isn't at this point ownership, right? They could
yeah.
sell it. They could sell it to Netflix if they wanted to. Netflix could invest in it. The issue isn't ownership. The issue is at this point, especially with DC properties, a lot of fans, whether you're a longtime fan, new fan, casual fan, whatever, especially with the live TV shows, we're kind of just done with it. We rather just let it be or not be, right? And I don't know what numbers they needed to continue, a TV show. I don't know how many clicks, I don't know how many views, TV ratings or TV ratings. But whatever it is, for me to even give Gotham Knights a chance, no matter who owns it, I rather them just produce the entire first season, whatever that first season is gonna be, and then guess what? Binge it. I'm not gonna be hooked episode by episode. I'm not gonna invest my
Oh,
time.
I
I'm
get
not
what
gonna invest my time. And there's no, if from honestly, for me to even look for it, I feel like there's a lot of other shows that I'm already behind on that I'd rather invest my time on, such as all of Marvel's live action shows. Despite some of them being ups and downs, guess what? They're accessible. I could binge them. I don't have to worry about episode by episode. And if I do, there's so many other shows I need to watch that by the time I finish those, I could just jump onto the next one. Whereas something like this, man, like I said, it's just disorganized. And then when you look at certain key characters, key changes to be changed just because either to check off a box or just to change because we just feel like being different or edgy or whatever. It doesn't mean that those characters could never exist in the state they are. For example, a female Robin doesn't mean a female Robin could never exist. But you that making that choice has an effect on the show, you know? Because now I'll be honest, I'm gonna be a little bit less invested. It doesn't mean the quality goes down. But I'd rather go to a story I'm more familiar with than now gamble my time with a story I might not click with because it feels too different rather than a fresh new coat of paint.
I get it. I totally get what you're saying. So you're saying like TV shows that has to do with DC for now on, they have to uh, finish at least 6 episodes and put it on some type of entity so somebody can binge it. So not many people. That's better marketing than put it on some platform of DC, some platform TV show. That's the only way that they're gonna come back up because they're losing money.
I think they should get away from cable if they're trying to do something with the show, with the property. If it's not dead, maybe let one of those streaming platforms pick it up. It could even be HBO Max or whatever it's called now, Max.
Yeah,
And and just if you're gonna do up a episode, then do that because not every show has the Netflix model of just finish to binge. But at this point, if you're gonna scrap it, then maybe that's the best way forward because you know it's at least for even the casual fan or the committed fan is not doing enough to be like, yeah, yeah, I'm really invested in that show. And once again, whether they realize it or not, maybe just bad marketing. It doesn't help that this show also had a video game recently with the same exact name, literally exact same name, and that game's also divisive. So if I'm just someone that doesn't really know much, I'm like, if I didn't like the video game, I'd be like, why the hell do I want to watch a show with the same name? I might think it's the same story, and it's not. But I might not. I might be turned off because it has the exact same name. And that's they knew that going in because for that name to be approved, they need to give permission. So the marketing teams knew they had exactly the same name, but they said we're going to do completely different stories. Nah. So that doesn't help their case either.
So, you might be right on the money with that one. With that one, that is a great way to put it, because right now DC is very felling. It's very felling to my eyes, and there's a lot of people is already staring away because of that factor. Um, because the writing or whoever is doing this is not doing it good. Um, I don't know, cause like the Russo brothers just did this show on Amazon. I know this is a Marvel and DC clubhouse, but I want to tell you, like, the right producers that produces movies, the Russo brothers. If you look at the Russo brothers did the production for Avengers Endgame 1 and 2.
Hmm.
The rest was very well, very put together. There was no mess up with CGI. There was no mess up with videography and none of that. After that happened, I don't know why the Russo brothers left. They didn't get a second property or something. But Quantumania wasn't made by the same producer. Um, what else? What else was after? She Hulk. Nobody didn't really like that because the way stuff was going on. They didn't like her.
So
I don't know why,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
like
So
every
it's
part of
ironic.
her.
No, I'll tell you why. It's okay. So one of the biggest strengths that Marvel has over DC is that Marvel allows the creative freedom of its producers, its writers, and directors to here's a roadmap, here's certain key points, but you have the freedom to get there. However, they hire people that care about the comics, that read the comics, and they know the characters, right? So that's why a lot of their movies and their properties are very not faithful, like in terms of like back to back cover, like not like it's printed straight off the pages of the comics, but a lot of key events are either interpreted in new, stylish but faithful ways, or it's actually straight from the comics itself. And Marvel's owned by Disney. Disney said, "Here's the money. So now you just have more money to make it better, but we're not going to police you." Warner Brothers is the opposite. For a long time, they policed, they policed, they policed. The only person they they didn't police was Zack Snyder. However, what they did with Zack Snyder's work was once he left Justice League, right? They said, "All right, we're gonna get a new writer or not writer, a new director," and then they took it apart. The reason being is while Zack Snyder was still in the project, um, they said, "Oh no, you're known for this. You have some type of seniority. Uh, just make the movie good." And originally, Justice League was going to be two parts. That's why the his cut's 4 hours because he was thinking about part one, part two. But during production, his daughter died. So because his daughter died, that's why he stepped away from the project. So but Warner Brothers said, forget it. We're going to continue on. They took what he did, and that's the version we got in the movie theaters, right? Marvel, I'm pretty sure things have happened with some directors and people have left during production, but that has since, as far as I know, ever affected the final product, or has rather handicapped it in any way. That's something that's different between Marvel and, of course, and DC. It's who how much meddling do you have involved. But so to counteract that, for a while there, DC, what they like to do, or I keep saying DC, but I mean Warner Brothers and DC, what they like to do was they believed if if you put enough not quality, quantity out there, enough IP, enough characters, something's going to stick. And that's where you have the oversaturation of okay, we have DC animation, we have the TV shows, we have the movies, all at different qualities, all at different ratings, but they didn't care. It was just we rather make 30 things and have five of them be good than make five things that are amazing. Whereas Marvel was backwards. They're like, no, we're gonna make five things that are amazing. Once they started going to the TV show aspect, that's where it started getting in trouble. Where now they saturated the market so much with their properties that now they're running into that issue. Now it's because they have so much quantity, the quality you don't know. Some of it it's like whoa, and then others it's like what the heck was this? So what used to be their strength, they kind of have swapped it.
I dig that. You right on that because like Phase Four was too much. I completely understand. Phase Four was too much. It was bringing a lot at the same time. Um, at the same time, everything was synced with Phase One, Two, and Three because think about it. Their first Hulk, their first Hulk happened the like in the 80s, in the 80s 90s growing up because that's when I started seeing the Hulk. When I was very little kid, maybe at 10 years old, seeing the first Hulk, and now it's on Disney. Incredible Hulk, you know about Incredible Hulk?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's on Disney now. You know what I mean? They we Marvel just got their rights back, so I'm glad for it came back home. But you might be off just a little bit, because the thing is, you could saturate the market, but how good can you be? Just as well. This is why I'm gonna put a little collision with you, Mikey. Um, a little collision here. PS5 is beating everybody, but mind you, PlayStation wasn't the first console that was ever made,
Yeah.
but it completely still dominating. It's dominating the the console, even though it it wants to block a deal for Call of Duty.
Okay. But still using that same. Let's use that same example
Yes,
to reinforce what I'm saying. What
yes,
led what led PlayStation to this day, and PlayStation themselves say it. Phil Spencer, the guy who runs PlayStation currently, what has made PlayStation always in terms of consoles, because you can't PC is a whole different level. PC is on a whole another ballgame. What has led PlayStation to always be, I guess, between Xbox on top? It's the quality of its first person titles, of the titles that you only find playing PlayStation. PlayStation doesn't give you quantity. Now, I mean, now yes, because the money is there, so like they're able to produce in the year a lot of their newer games. The Last of Us, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider Man, blah blah blah. But they have always been known for taking the time and quality to develop those stories to the point where the only like first person like series game that has flopped for PlayStation didn't really flop. It flopped on their scale. It flopped in terms of it got a rating of like a 70 out of 100, which that was the lowest ever in history. And that was the zombie game that came out. Not Last of Us. The what do you call it? Oh my gosh, I even have it on my PlayStation. I just forgot the name of it. You play around like a biker and you go and there's zombies and stuff. But that being said, quality over quantity. Where arguably Xbox on the opposite end, what do they do? Xbox, I think they have something really cool, but they do the opposite. They don't really care about the quality of games. It's the quantity. Why? Because their bread and butter is Game Pass, the Netflix of video games. You have access to so many third party, first party, whatever games, and you're like, whoa, I could play all the Gears of War, I could play all the Halos, I could play whatever, all the Assassin's Creed. And price point, it's amazing. You know, you just pay just like Netflix, like a subscription, and you're able to play whatever games you want. But guess what? They're lacking that quality because
And mind,
it's
and
just
mind,
pure quantity.
and mind you, PlayStation is trying to compete them in that market, in that space. Majority of the PlayStation users that was on the regular jumped onto extra, and they loving it.
Yeah, and you know why? Because most of Extra isn't third party games. Most of Extra is the old first party games. So
Correct.
again, it's that quantity. I mean, not quantity, that quality over
Quality.
quantity
Yeah.
aspect. And Marvel, I'll be honest, what really helped them with their TV shows, right, is the reputation they have with older movies. That's why people checked out the shows. But now, I mean, they even said they're going to slow down because they said, you know what, they're able to adapt and they learn. You know what? Maybe the last year and a half we did put out too much, too soon, too fast, and especially when you have a fan base that for years it was known that you need to consume everything to be caught up in the story. You can't just change that on the drop of a dime. So now they're like, "You're right. We're kind of splitting the story a little bit differently. It's not just one dimensional, and that's fine." But because of that, you had kind of like a saturation of the market. But what saved them was their past. Whereas, unfortunately, when it comes to DC, what past do they have to bank on? The past that they have banking on is characters that we fell in love with, either reading the comics or the early TV shows, like the animated series. So we want to give it a shot. We want to give them a chance. However, they're always disorganized, and every time we think they have a plan in place for a future, they let us down. You know, you could look on Google whatever not blueprint, but like base plan they had a couple years back. You know, we're gonna release this, and this, and look how convoluted it became since 2017. There's movies that they canceled, movies that had to be changed, movies that almost didn't happen, like the Rock's movie, Black Adam almost didn't happen. You have weird development times. You have issues with casting, with different actors. It's just disorganized. And if that's the live action stuff that's disorganized that they put more money into, I don't have much hope for the TV shows. Or rather, I rather say, you know what? I'm not gonna risk it watching episode by episode. I'd rather just wait till it's over and then I'll take my time to watch it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. That makes total sense. You know what I'm saying? Because what you're saying makes very total sense. Because this, it might work out at the end. Let's see um what James Gunn is gonna do. Everything is like completely done. DC, the DC that we know now from a decade is no longer here. But you
Hmm.
can watch reruns. So the only thing that's pretty much left that's coming, that's what I'm gonna be talking about as of right now. I'm gonna also be telling you guys the next things that's coming right now. If you take a look, you gonna see the things that's coming. You got you got Deadpool 3 just changed its date from November
Hmm.
8 to 24 to May 3rd.
Yep, they're early, which it's wild to even consider,
Yes.
especially in this time where everything gets delayed for different reasons. Wild that it's ready, or they
Yeah.
say it's ready.
Yeah. And I've been watching other sources, other YouTubers that be like doing frame by frame, and I didn't peep that in Wolverine, right? When he killed his own self, and then said something.
Wolverine, or you mean Logan, or like which one?
No,
Because
over
there
like
are there are there
Wolverine.
are like two movies named like
There was
Wolverine.
remember when he was Wolverine, and then Deadpool didn't have a mouth.
Oh, you mean X Men Origins or whatever? Yeah, yeah, I know
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then he
yeah, hmm
and then he killed his own self.
yeah.
Yeah, he says something at the end to Wolverine. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna um leak it out because Deadpool 3 is gonna maybe reveal that. If it don't reveal that, I'm gonna speak about it. I'm gonna speak about it, and I'm gonna show you frame by frame on the next Clubhouse um, of when Deadpool 3 comes out. Next one is gonna be Captain America, Brave New World. I can't wait to see how that gets down because I wanna see um, the new Captain America that will be played by no you already know who. I'm gonna see how his story changes, how character development happens because in the TV show that they brung out to me was like what he was going through at the end of Avengers Endgame. Um, because the real Captain America, you didn't even believe in himself that he's capable of being that particular person. He didn't even believe in himself. He didn't even understand why his best friend told him, "You're it." But that's all I'm gonna say because I don't know if anybody in here watched the whole Phase 4. But if you did, Mikey, that would be awesome because I can keep on going with uh Bucky, Bucky, and the new Captain America.
No,
That's
that's
my
fine because like ultimately, what I want to like take away, at least currently, like what we're talking about is I care, and I most dedicated casual fans care about things being organized.
yeah,
So even if currently Marvel seems disorganized with all the TV shows and the movies and the directions different characters are going towards, there's faith and there's hope that they could always restructure it correctly and we'll get where we need to get. It just
correct,
might take it just might take like a learning curve. However, the problem with DC is they've been so disorganized and restructuring for so long that at this point, you know what their best selling IPs are? It's when they do independent IPs, such as Robert Pattinson's Batman, such as Aquaman, when they're just by themselves. I don't know if that means there's less, like I said, meddling, or I don't know if that's simply because what do you call it? The story is linear and it is what it is. But even now with James Gunn, there's a thread of hope because you're like, oh, okay, maybe he could save it. But to be honest, we won't know until we see. So it's
what do you think
just
of what do you think of his direction with uh with the Guardians and Peacemaker and Suicide Squad?
James.
He produced those type of movies.
Yeah, the thing with James Gunn, I'll be honest, I see him like another Zack Snyder, just a little bit more a little bit more eccentric, right? Zack Snyder's more
Mhm.
down to earth, but he loves superhero movies. He loves comics, and he loved superhero movies before they were cool. Like a lot of the early before Marvel was even a thing, or even DC was like set studios when they were just selling off characters to keep the lights on. He made superhero movies just because he loved them, right? James Gunn is similar, especially if you take on a property like Guardians, an unknown quantity of a property that honestly even hardcore fans were like, "Who the hell are these guys?" Um, so I'm not worried about his dedication or his information on doing the characters justice. It's just they have DC before has made plenty of timelines and plans, and this is what we're going to do. They do a showcase every year. It gets you hype. You know, they got The Rock to come out to announce Black Adam, and you get happy. You look at trailers, you're like, yeah, and then give it literally a year or two, and they are always having to restructure. I don't mean like, hey, this movie's coming out a year later now or a year earlier. I mean things get eliminated, things don't happen. Um, Actors get pissed off, directors get pissed off. So yeah, James Gunn's in it for now, and that's the plan we have for now. And best case scenario, sounds even weird to say it. Best case scenario, they don't interfere with his work. He creates whatever he needs to create, and then we could judge it then.
Well, until then, we don't have anything to judge other than Flash that I watched, and it was great. I don't understand why most people say that the Flash that came out in movie theaters bombed the first week. It didn't make enough sales or whatever, but it is what it is. You can't it just is what it is. It's the same thing as Across the Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse has similar storytelling of the same thing. If
Two different
if
things.
Bella can intervene without spoiling it, I believe Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has the same similar structure of a storytelling when it comes to Spider-Man's origin and the Flash origin.
Well,
They're similar.
well, the
We
reason why people say that the Flash bombed, so you got to think like this. You also have the issue with Ezra Miller, the guy who plays the Flash, right? He was, he was in trouble a lot with the law beforehand. He was wanted. He was grooming kids. He got into bar fights. A lot of issues, right? And some people forgave him. Some people say it is what it is. DC said we made this movie. We're gonna put it. Anyone else, honestly, they would have pulled the movie. They would have said, his apology, blah blah blah, whatever.
and that's
They
what
put the
Marvel
movie out.
right now.
Hmm?
That's what Marvel's going through right now with Kane.
With Kane.
Yeah, with the actor that played Creed 3.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
It's the same.
Can't,
It's
yeah, you're right.
Jonathan Majors. The same thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Marvel is just waiting. Marvel don't want to pull the plug on him as of yet. But
Because they invested, because he's a character they invested in. They're like, we need
but
you to.
but just in case they can go inside Disney's vault, cut something, take something out, make him look like he don't exist. But mind you, they still can portray King Dynasty because it can be portrayed by multiple people.
Right, but what I was trying to say before is so Flash. The reason it has its issues is not necessarily the movie itself. It's the actor, and also the movie. It's interesting because those that like it, right, that enjoy it, just as a work of itself, take away the issues off screen. You know why they like it? Because it's kind of an independent story, right? It's there's no nothing trying to be connected. I say independent because even though yes, Flash is a character that appears in Justice League and blah blah blah, it's initially a reset, right? This is James Gunn's excuse for a reset in the movie verse. It is Flashpoint. You restart everything. Flashpoint animated was a restart, and live action is a restart. The thing about Into the Spider Verse is Spider Man and Spider Man's world, his characters, Miles Morales, they're beloved characters. Spider Man movies always dominate the box office. Always. He is a bankable entity. No matter who plays him, no matter what platform, Spider Man makes money. Because people like Spider Man. Kids love Spider Man. Adults like Spider Man. Spider Man's lovable, right? The only issues I've heard about Into the Spider Verse is I think certain individuals or whether YouTubers, podcasters, whatever, maybe digging in too much into some of the Easter eggs that they have in Into the Spider Verse, which I understand. They specifically like having a lot of Easter eggs hidden inside, like the first one. But
Hmm.
there is a thing of over analyzing, and I think some have over analyzed. For
Yeah.
example, I don't see this in any way, and I mean this strictly from a comic book, connoisseur,
Okay.
media connoisseur. Some people have looked into it and they believe that Gwen Stacy is actually a trans kid. That Gwen Stacy, that she's not in love with Miles because in all actuality, um, she was a boy and now she chose to be change her sexuality. I don't see any hintings of that anywhere. But once again, people like to read really deeply into what they believe are Easter eggs. And
Okay.
I'm not saying they're wrong, but most likely they're not right. So
Sure.
that's been the latest thing as the movie itself. However, Sony has got kind of in trouble with that movie, not because the movie did anything, but because I guess the way Sony was treating the people that worked on the movie. Because more than 100 employees quit who made that movie.
100 employees.
100 that made that entire movie quit. Even those 100 employees are only people that deal with the basic stuff. Because I don't know how many people it takes to make a movie. Let's say roughly 500. Even if it's 1,000, you just lost 10% of your workforce. Even if it's 1,000, which I don't know, maybe it depends on the level of movie. If you need a
Well,
thousand people,
we will be talking about that very, very shortly.
and
That
and
that
again at the same time, not like collectively, not like okay, this person left day one, he left day two. No, same time. So that means something is either writers, like attention writer strike, or I don't know. I don't know right now enough as why they did it, but that's big, especially since the whole production team that made Into the Spider Verse, the first one, they loved that movie. They loved it. Like they loved working on it. It was different, and for you to leave, yeah, it's interesting. And the fact that they left now, because I'm not sure if you know this. I think it's unfair, but it happens also in the video game industry. Whenever you're part of a team that creates something, a movie, a TV show, or a video game, if you get fired, if you leave, um, or yeah, if you get fired or you leave, whether it's your own volition or forcefully or cuts, um, your name normally that will go on the credits for producing that gets cut from the production.
that
So the
that
movie,
usually
the movie,
happens. That usually
the
happens
movie.
a lot. Because that's something I want to deep dive into. Because you have a great thought about it, and I want to be able to talk about that very, very shortly, because this is why that this writer strike is very, very deeply rooted into the reasons why. Um, Again, Deadpool 3 is coming out May 3rd, 2024. That's the new these are the new releases. So from old to new. So this is how I'm gonna repeat them. November 8th to May 3rd for Deadpool. Captain America Brave New World, May 3rd, 24. That's the old one. Now it's July 24th. I can't wait for those shows. I can't that's gonna be it's gonna be an awesome year for me. And us. If you like Marvel just as well, I like DC. Thunderbolts, July 26, 24. Now it's Christmas 20.
That's gonna be interesting because Harrison Ford's in it. He
Yeah,
plays Ross, aka Red Hulk. But
yeah.
he's been weird in interviews and stuff about it. And that interview is like people trying to find out, I guess, more of the movie because I know they're always tight-lipped about stuff. Just a little bit strange. Like I don't know. So we'll
Okay.
see. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see how that
Then
develops. I guess.
then just as well. I don't know if you heard, Blade is a little bit deep tissue too. That's what this writer strike is going on too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Blade, the man that plays Blade and Wesley Snipes, you know, he's
Hmm.
co I know he had to be in the background co-producing it. He has to, because
I don't think
he's
so.
been the first Blade since the first Blade that we know about.
I don't think so because Wesley Snipes he was basically blacklisted from Hollywood, bro. And at this
how,
point, when it
how
comes to a lot of Marvel properties, they rarely ask for consultants.
rarely? Okay, but
They really
let's
they
keep
do.
the hope, because the reason why I bring him up is because I'm trying to figure out why um every time they're on their third or fourth writer, something like that. So I'm that's why it's running late, because instead of coming September 24, now it's 25 of February 14. You know, February 14, 25. So,
Yeah, it all depends on the scripts, how the script's coming along. So maybe
yeah,
they change the script different times for different reasons.
yeah,
But But
yeah.
I think Wesley's I think he's off base on that. Like he's not involved at all. Especially because let's be real, man. Like nostalgia is a hell of a drug where we remember the feelings rather than the logic behind it.
Okay.
So a lot of the early stuff that we really enjoyed. I'm not saying they were bad. They're good for their time. But you really look at those Blade movies now, man. I'll be honest, they're a little bit cringy. For the time, it's like, oh man, this is the best because there's nothing else. But realistically, let's say you put them up to today's standards, man, it might be a movie that goes straight to DVD. So having Snipes, try to be some type of consultant, I see it like he's hands off because I never even asked him, not because he necessarily wants to be, but because he was never even put in the room, which wouldn't be like a shock.
You might be right, but you know, we also have a Fantastic Four. February 14 now got backed up till May 2nd, 25.
We'll see what happens with that. But yeah,
Then Avengers the King Dynasty, instead of May 25, now it's May 1st, 26. And Avengers Secret War, it's May 1st, 2026 till May 7th, 2027. So everything is backed up by a year. The only two things we're getting is from the movies is only three. I From what I'm looking at. I hope you guys is looking at as well. It shows you um it as well in the website that I posted, so you can also see. Um, Once again, it's Deadpool. We're getting on 24. We're getting Captain America on the 24. We're getting Thunderbolts on the 24, and that's about it. Everything else is on hold for another year. We might get more TV shows. They might probably blend that in some sort of fashion. We haven't got or I haven't researched enough, or no one hasn't said anything yet about new dates for TV shows that I know of. But
I don't know. Yeah.
not that I know of. But the next thing I will be talking about is Spider-Man 4, that's supposed to be coming out November 24 and 2025. So supposedly they saved two dates for those dates. Hopefully we might see Spider-Man 4 in November. Um, that's what I heard. Once again, Um, we also heard about I spoke about Marvel got the rights back to Hulk. Now you can watch it on Disney Plus. If you want to watch The Incredibles Hulk, you can watch it right now on Disney Plus. If you want to come back on a Clubhouse or wherever you guys are, I will be posting that um, under, so you can be able to click on it, click the Clubhouse, and come in and join into these discussions that I'll be having with my friends and that loves DC and Marvel. We can fight, we can tussle all day and every day. But going back to Marvel and DC, have you last thing I want to talk about before I also end the show and talk about the next time I will be talking 2 weeks from now. Cause this clubhouse is very awesome to talk about where we have mixed feelings in what we believe on different iterations of Marvel and DC. As of right now, um, DC is broke. They're trying to figure shit out. On the contrary, they're trying to figure shit out. Right now, they're selling some of their rights. I'm gonna post that up right now. Um, they're selling their rights to Netflix.
Their rights to what property? Because they won't give up all the properties if they're selling anything at all.
It's showing that on Variety. They're selling films and TV, music publishing assets, negotiating 500 million deal to sell film and TV music publishing assets. So I don't know what
So that
uh
sounds like they're doing a deal with Netflix, like that Netflix just put their stuff to be viewed.
they had that already, bro. That's how you was able to watch Flash. And then they
Yeah, they had it, but in the same sense, those deals expire, so maybe they're doing a new deal.
uh
That's why, yeah, yeah, like that's something similar that happened with the Marvel shows that they had on Netflix. The license or the deal expired, so that's why they had to remove Daredevil, Iron Fist, what's the other one, The Punisher,
yeah.
because then Marvel at that time they were like, oh no, we want to reclaim these characters to now put them into the universe that we want to put them in. So Netflix was like, oh okay. So what happened was Netflix they tried asking like Netflix asked Marvel or Disney whatever, do you want to redo the deal? And they were like, no, because we want to have ownership of the character completely and not have two separate Punishers, two separate Iron Fists. We just want to restart those characters. And I say restart because it looks like Marvel's going to be using the same actors that played them. Like they already did that with Daredevil. Like he's already going to be the same guy that played Daredevil, and Netflix will be in the universe and the movie verse. But yeah, deals expire all the time, and they have a time limit. So yeah,
Yeah, you're absolutely correct about that because um from what I know, you might be right. You might be right on that. But I'm glad that I watched Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Did you watch it, Mikey?
like Fast. I think I need to rewatch it for sure because I today after church I went out to eat, and then and we went to my grandma's house, and then by the time I got home, I had just enough time to kind of watch it. So like I did, but I want to rewatch it because like I said, there's a bunch of little Easter eggs and
Yeah.
small things in there
We
that. are worth checking out.
We definitely. That's why I want to be able to um do that again because I watch I watched it the first time, I got it, and then I want to rewatch it again because we do have enough time because we don't have anything until September July. So we
July's next week,
July
though.
6th.
Well,
That
not next week, but like basically next week.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but we have 2 weeks because like that's when Blue Beetle happens, and
I don't have hope for Blue Beetle, but we'll see.
yeah, that's when Blue Beetle happens. Then after Blue Beetle, we don't have anything else as of until September or something like that.
Right.
Because we have enough time to blend everything in. Because after Blue Beetle, there will be nothing to be talked about with DC until next year. Um, so pretty much Marvel is gonna be taking the whole summer, the whole summer, pretty much winter. I mean, well, autumn and winter, a little bit because
Good. Good.
see
Quality,
all
not
right,
quantity.
huh?
Quality over quantity. Good. Take whatever time you need. I don't care. Just make it good.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. So they backed up a couple of stuff just to make things happen. I think only the only things that's coming out as a TV show for us, for Marvel, is Secret Invasions, Echo, and Loki. Loki
Yeah,
too.
Secret Invasion got in trouble. If you haven't heard, real quick, there's some backlash because it looks like I gotta look into it a little bit more. But right now, it looks like the entrance title scene or whatever it was.
Hmm.
Like the entrance to the TV show,
Hmm.
the intro, it was completely produced by AI rather than an artist. And there's backlash for that. I'm guessing specifically now, especially with the strike going on, because if a studio is willing to use AI to generate, something that used to be someone's job, um, what's to stop them from doing it in other aspects and not, hiring people to continue doing their jobs? Because when you're talking about big corporations like Disney,
Hmm.
if you're able to, you know, all around save money by just, let's just make an AI do this. It's free. Uh, they will do it because it will save them money at the end of the day. So there's backlash there because it's like, wait, are you replacing us with robots? And that's something that everyone always thought will never happen. That robots will replace art, but it looks like Disney's trying to tinker with that.
and, and this is the reason also why there will be no Comic Con this year. Just want to collide that in there and get y'all get y'all blood boiling. Why Comic Con? Comic Con was in New York. Was gonna be in New York this year. I was gonna finally go to one until they canceled it.
Nah.
Or skipping it. Marvel is skipping it. Netflix is skipping it. Sony is skipping it. HBO is skipping it, and Universal skipping it.
So to be fair, I think it's a mix of things why they said they're not going to do it. The first one is probably, yeah, writers. You can't have any panels if the people who made the show or eventually going to be talking about the show are not even there, right? Like you got the actors, but even the actors, they're told what they can and can't say by, yeah, legal, but also marketing and writers, right? Because you can't say something if it's not official, like if it's not official in terms of the script. So you have that issue, but then also you have to. It's something similar that's happening with E3. Remember how E3 used to be basically the Comic Con for video games? Well, E3 stopped mainly because companies like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Ubisoft. Everyone figured out. They were like, why are we paying crazy money for a booth on this event center? Not just that, but then we gotta pay for the marketing. We gotta have demos ready. We gotta have some type of cringy announcement or announcer. What happens if something doesn't go right? And there's a lot of infamous moments of things not going right when we could just do our own live stream, live showcase easily. And to be fair, Disney has kind of done that already with their corporate meeting when they announce all the new TV shows and their slate. You know, Sony does that all the time. They just
Yeah,
had a live. They just had a live broadcast, a state of play or whatever they call it,
yeah,
which tells you everything that's coming, that's going to be coming for PS5 and things like that. Microsoft just had one, and that was great. That's where they showed Starfield and their future. So it's really like it's simply about cost. Why pay for a con? Why pay for all that when you could have it for free on YouTube? And you might even get paid because if you have enough viewership, you have advertisements. So they're gonna be making money
but the
on the
thing
stuff they're advertising.
thing is, going there is the nostalgia. You can actually be there with the person that tells the story that you like. Now, all you're seeing is television, 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 television. It's it's don't it mess up your eyeballs when you're watching too much television? Did your mommy and daddy tell you not to do that so much?
Yeah. By the
That's
way,
I
that's that.
forgot.
So two things. A, that's actually a medical like that's a myth. But two, they don't care, man. Like, why would they care? Why would they care?
Undersupplied.
Like they're gonna do it because it saves them overall cash and money. They're a big company. Yeah, it sucks if you're someone that likes to go on cons, and trust me, that's cool because you have a community that cares about the same thing you're care into. And you get to nerd out and get to bond and talk and whatever, and learn new things and buy stuff. But at the end of the day, guess what? That wasn't money going to their pockets. That's money going to whoever's hosting the con. So in their eyes, what?
So
Even if Comic Con,
what can I eat? So what can I
Even
eat?
if Comic Con,
I want to eat.
once again, I feel you, but once again, like even if you had 10,000 people show up at Comic Con, right? Guess what? They're like, guess what? We reached 2 million people literally in an hour that we announced a live stream. And it's true. They do. And people can rewatch it if they don't have time,
Yeah,
It is what it is.
sure.
It is what it is. So
They,
they're just cutting the middleman.
they
Unfortunately,
could do
oh,
both though. They could do both. There is not that much money that they're spending because it's the same thing as buying out a theater for an hour and just do the
no, it's different.
broadcast there. You
It's
know,
different because for a big enough like
for
room for big
Comic
people
Con,
like for like
you need a lot
Disney.
of you need a lot of headroom. Of course, you gonna need maybe like uh 100 square maybe 10,000 maybe 2 acres at best just to host a Comic Con. I trust me, I understand because that's a lot of land to cover for for probably only maybe 10,000 people can come in
No,
and
no, it's not the con itself. Like the con is just like in the big, they always host it at this big holes. It's if you're someone that's showing your IP, right? Let's say you're Disney and you're like, okay, we're gonna rent this space.
yeah,
That you're talking about literally millions in the marketing budget for that because that's what they charge in rent because it's a one-time event and they know, oh, this is Disney, yeah, charge them that. This is not like you're charging a little studio you never heard of, and that's what it is. That's why E3 also doesn't happen because Microsoft was like, wait, why are we gonna spend $9 million on rent, sending people over there, on staff, on hotels, on passes, all this crap to really just advertise stuff that we could just advertise on YouTube for free. So this is not like they're saving $50,000. They're really saving in the millions. Now overall, what they make in money. it's it's a drop in the bucket. What's 10 million to a company that makes over 20 billion a year? Not that much, but guess what? In their eyes, why even drop the 10 million, right? Like why even drop it if you don't have to?
Well,
So it's not
but
so much of
for the,
can they,
for the,
because
for the
they can
people
do both,
that,
but
that
they
that
don't want
helped
to.
you make that money, you didn't do that money. You didn't get there alone. So if you want to spend 9 million, spend 9 million for your fans.
Yeah, but guess what? At the end of the day,
Yeah,
they know this. They know this, bro. They could launch whatever they want on for example, let's say like DC. DC could do their showcase telling you all the slate that they have going on with their properties and Batman and whatever. And guess what? You're still gonna show up. No one's not gonna show up because they didn't go to a Comic Con. You might be disappointed there's not a Comic Con, but especially if they announce it with enough time, they say, listen, this year we're not gonna be there, so if you want to go, then you still go. No one's gonna be like, I'm not gonna watch the new Batman movie because they skipped Comic Con. They're not. And if you're that one person, guess what? They still have literally the entire world as their audience. It's just a business move. And at the end of the day, we want to think that these companies care. And to be honest, the companies don't. The writers do. The producers and directors, some of them do. That's why they're faithful to characters. But it's a business, man. And at the end of the day, they're trying to sell tickets. And guess what? It's still gonna sell tickets whether it's a con or not. I feel you. I would like that to happen. And can they do it? Sure. Will they do it? Most
well,
likely not.
well, these big hits, like Netflix, HBO, Universal, all these entities skipping Comic Con this year. So,
Yeah, because everyone's on the same
so
page.
soon, pretty
YouTube.
much you're gonna hear Comic Con say they're canceled, just like E3 said they're canceled because this is not gonna be anybody but who Paramount.
And I think Paramount might skip it too. Honestly, the real winner here is Google and YouTube. If I was YouTube, what I would do is I would charge a premium. I will tell them, listen, you guys can host your live stream, but I don't know, maybe what you're supposed to make in revenue, maybe we'll give you a smaller cut, or you sell those advertisements, the ads you get on YouTube. You
Hmm.
say, yeah, PlayStation, not PlayStation. You say, yeah, Disney. Here, you could post whatever you want, but anything that you post on your channel that's official, we're gonna sell those slots like they do in the Super Bowl. So if you're someone like Doritos and you want to put your advertisement on YouTube between the trailer of whatever's coming out, now you charge them whatever amount of money. And so everyone wins in that aspect. The only one that loses is the con. But guess what? Even Comic Con is, it's owned by a company that's what they do. They just rent. They're like an entertainment thing. They're not Live Nation, but they're similar. Just how a company, entertainment does concerts. There's something that they do that too. They just do entertainment. They host cons and they make money by renting it out to big entities. The big entities are like, we don't need to spend money on you no more because YouTube, Twitch, just with those two alone, we're good. TikTok, we're good. We don't need to worry about Comic Con or showing up or doing anything.
True.
You know, and they're
Next,
not gonna do it for free. They're not gonna be like, oh yeah, have a panel for free.
true that.
So that's yeah. So that's at the end of the day, it's just the way it goes, man. The biggest cons, if you really want to go to a con, that you might be able to go to is you need to go to one that's a fan hosted con, right? One that it's like a convention, meaning I mean a con is a convention anyway, but I'm trying to say it's like not one that's hosted by necessarily a company. It's like, for example, like even though this is completely different than what we're talking about,
Hmm.
but there's something similar one with Game of Thrones and Harry Potter that they have it every year. It's called PotterCon and something called I think ThronesCon. That's
Okay.
hosted and put together by the fandom, right? They decide somewhere in the United States where they're gonna do it, and fans come all over. And it's not hosted by a company. It's just like it's like hey, like your ticket basically helps pay for the rent that we're doing it. And then there they ask different sellers and vendors, do you want to come? But it's kind of like, it's like a grassroots thing. It's not a big
Yeah,
corporate thing.
that's what I'm talking about.
And
Good shit.
yeah, and then sometimes those cons get lucky enough to get actors independently that that their movies or their TV shows are already finished. Then they come, they're invited and they decide to show up. So those are the ones that most likely will stay around because that's a community led thing rather than Comic Con or bigger entities that's really just a business led thing.
So again, that's what Marvel and DC should really, really look at. They should really be analytical in that aspect. Like, each town, each town or each county has stuff like that, right? Am I right about? Because
What do you
like,
mean?
because like for Pokemon Go, just to go off, each town, each town has one. In order for you to link up with one, you have to um go to Reddit. They should, go to Reddit, Discord servers. They should really start doing grassroots. They should spend a little bit just on that marketing alone. So the fandom can help them out instead of, what I'm saying, they can give it out to the actual fandom that's doing it, so that money can go to the rent. You know what I'm saying?
It's different because when it's a fandom led, right? When it's because the fan base wants to just have this community thing because they love the property. Um, it's from their backs, right? There's the intention is to connect with people that love the same thing you love, right? When you're looking at it from the company's aspect, that's the product that they sell. So they like they don't get me wrong. Companies like fandoms. They like Reddit posts. They like those groups that meet up. They like Facebook groups. They like that stuff because it's talking about the product that they're selling. And sometimes they throw you a bone here and there, right? If you're big enough, if you have enough of following, if you have enough of loyal fans coming to your thing, sometimes. But they really, it's tough for them to even work hand in hand because you gotta look at it once again as what are they gaining? They're not gaining more fans. They're already committed. They love the product so much they have their own separate little meetup. They have their own separate podcast. They have their own separate whatever. They're the ones that they go dressed as Pokemon, Harry Potter, or whatever.
Or whatever.
They
Yeah.
understand. Yeah, they understand that whatever it is, they know they're not gaining more love. They're looking for the people that never watched
We
those
do.
properties, right?
Yeah.
So for them to be, they're not concerned about that, right? What they'll do is they'll encourage it, but they'll encourage it in ways that doesn't financially hurt them or hurt their bottom line. Encourage it by, for example, maybe giving them official merch, and maybe endorse it. Maybe in terms of like advertising it, maybe or something simple like a follow on Instagram, right? You'd be
Yeah.
surprised. You'd be surprised like how that like for example, if I was trying to make a fandom about Game of Thrones and it grew where I'm like, okay guys, every 6 months we're gonna pick somewhere and it's gonna be a big meetup of Game of Thrones fans. If I don't know where HBO follows me, that gives more credit to my thing. It doesn't sound like it's just a bunch of friends meeting up to talk about something that we love, you know.
True.
But the entities, the companies, corporate, they're not worried about that stuff. It
But
doesn't do much for them.
but the actors is the one that does give you the credit more than an entity will. Just is why I like.
Sometimes.
But that's why I like colliding the two. That's why I like mixing the two because um, there's certain way about a film would give you the right storytelling to believe into the entities that we love into. This is why I want to be able to connect with you as why. they want to make why they want to make this as a standalone swap thing. They want to they talking about they want to make this a standalone. They don't want to put it within the new DC universe. Um, I've never heard of Swap Thing. I don't know if you ever heard of Swap Thing, Mikey. If you have,
Yeah, I know he. I know who he is because of the animated like movies,
can you
right? So,
can you elaborate without giving me any inkling of what it is? Because I do want to see what this gonna be about when it comes out.
honestly, it's a little bit not so much tough to say, but what's the right word I'm looking for? Just actually, as I've been saying it all the whole night. It's disorganized because Swamp Thing was originally planned to be a movie, then DC canceled it, and then it was like I guess they canceled Swamp Thing and it's not gonna be a thing, and then surprise, now it's gonna be a TV show. So it was a dead property that they killed and then they brought back. Now we don't know what direction they're gonna go with Swamp Thing, right?
Well,
But
what it says here in Collider, the truth is I'm writing both right now, and who knows what's going to happen and what's going to blossom first or second. So there's your thing. I'm acknowledging I'm doing Swamp Thing. There's your scoop. It's not a rumor. It's happening. I put it online. It can all happen. It just takes time.
uh, honestly,
This
just
is this is another this is a Mangold is also writing the script for Swap Thing. Mangold. He's writing it. He's been writing the for it. He's been taking his time of writing the script. Um, Mango will however, this is not the only project on his platter, as Mango will also be writing and directing a Star Wars feature for uh Lucasfilms that will focus
that's gonna be bad.
that's
I
focus
say that. I'm
huh,
sorry. No, finish. I need to interrupt.
focus on the dawn of the Jedi. So Collider asked them about these questions because um they I guess Collider found out that he was doing Swamp Thing, and Collider asked him what's going on, and he's taking his time. Supposedly, um, supposedly he's taking his time because I guess he's writing writing Star Wars future. I guess he's writing the whole Star Wars feature, I guess. And then he has to put in time for Indiana Jones. And
That's not good. That's already right there. I'm already like once you said that he was doing Star Wars also, that's bad. Bad because there's like a history with that. Every time a director or a writer is doing a property and something Star Wars related, Star Wars always takes more more importance. Always, because Star Wars is a juggernaut in terms of money and as an IP. So that doesn't bode well for something. Something's I think it might even crash then because hell, that even happened. Listen to this. I don't think you've ever watched it. Maybe you have, but that's what happened with Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, by the numbers, it is the most watched TV show in history around the world. Right? Produced
he
by HBO, each to the point where each episode that they released towards the later seasons literally had budgets bigger than movies. Where one episode, the budget was 10 million, 16 million, you name it. Why? Because they were making that type of money in terms of viewership. And HBO doesn't even have advertisements, keep in mind. They were making that money. The people who wrote the script for Game of Thrones. Dan and Dave, that's their names, like the Russo brothers. They abruptly ended the series. They kind of just did like a nutshell version, Cliff Note version of the final seasons. Rather than basically they took what could have been 5 seasons and shrinked it to two. So like that they could work. At the time, they had a deal with Lucas Arts or Disney or whatever to do a Star Wars either film or something like that.
True. True.
Big success, and they're like,
Yeah.
no, no, because Star Wars is
You-
important. And that's like the latest example, but there's other examples. Star Wars, not that it's Star Wars' fault. It's Star Wars takes so much more attention to detail, and there's more writing on Star Wars that no matter what else they're doing, they don't have time for it. Or they say they do, but it always comes out as like this is just it is what it is. But now you're telling me he's also doing Indiana Jones? Are you crazy? That's another big IP. That, by the way, number Indiana Jones, whatever number 5 or whatever number we're on, comes out next year, and that's the last Harrison Ford one. So now you're continuing an IP with a beloved actor that no longer is going to do the role. Uh, Hell no, this is going to be bad for something. Don't bother with something. I'm gonna tell you right there. Nope.
So
Especially since Swamp Thing is not even like that big of a DC character. I mean, like he's if you watch enough DC, you know. But to be honest, he's kind of like the version of what Guardians was to Marvel. That's what Swamp Thing's gonna be to DC. This is not someone like like Red Hood or someone that's really cool or known. So my advice: skip, especially if his attention is divided into other IPs. I don't have faith in that.
you well, we'll see. We'll see. You might not have faith in it, but judge it as so right when you will be judging so right of Spider Man and the Flash. Because I'll be hearing your critique on that. Because I will give you a little collision with that of um what I liked about both of them. Swamp Thing is not here yet. He's supposedly taking his time, which is
Wow.
okay, which is okay because Marvel is taking a back seat of certain movies too. So you can't give them um in the back seat like that. You can't just put DC on the back burner like that. You got at least trust the process a little bit. I understand.
Not with
I
DC because
understand
they have
a
they
little,
have they have
little,
no
little
reason
salty
to trust
taste.
that.
I know they give you a little salty taste, but at least give it some time because I do want to see if they mess up. I give it for me my threshold. I give it to them if they mess up Batman Brave of the Bold. I would no longer be a DC fan. I will
Bro, but DC's
complete.
inconsistent. Sometimes they hit it,
I
sometimes they
will
don't.
completely bring you my official card. I'll make an official card say no longer a DC fan. I'll ship that to you, my guy, and tell you that with a Brave and the Bold picture framed, and I wrote behind it that no longer a DC fan. If if they mess up on Batman Brave and the Bold,
Nah.
that's my that's my only um chance that I have for them. I don't. You already gave up. I don't want you to
No,
give
no, no. I didn't give up. I'm just saying,
up.
like, I don't have. There's not much credence to be like, oh, I trust it. I know it's gonna be, bro. No, like, it's kind of like it's up in the air. That's really what it is. Giving up would be like, I'm not bothering watching it. Blah blah blah. No, 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 nothing like that. It's just I hear this. First of all, like I said, Swamp Thing. I'll be honest. No one asked for Swamp Thing. This is DC trying to expand and show other characters. No one asked for Swamp Thing. But whatever, they swear it is. Now, of course, you announce it, you put it out there in the universe. Some people will be like, okay, well, let's see what how you make it. Let's see what you do. because it could be cool, it could be scary, it could be whatever. Okay, uh, but now you're telling me the same guy's doing other, not just other properties, two bigger properties. Why the hell would you, bro? I wouldn't even do it because you know, first of all, the money's different, and you know you have more writing as career wise if you do good on Indiana Jones and Star Wars. Because guess what? No one's going to care if Swamp Thing bombs, right? But everybody will care if you kill or you do something stupid with Indiana Jones or Star Wars. It's the truth. It's the
You
truth.
you right
You
on that.
know, so meaning there's going to be way more credence and way more attention on the other two scripts, no matter how much time difference there is. Something could be like you have 2 years to do it, and Star Wars could be you have 5 years. Guess what? Star Wars is going to be the big thing, especially since Star Wars is in a place that they're trying to grow more and more the lore. Yeah, no, and once again, it's just with DC. It's sometimes they hit it in terms of the live action stuff. Like for example, I will go to the grave saying this: Henry Cavill, the best Superman there is. I don't care who they cast for the next one.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
gonna be Henry. Henry's the
yeah.
best Superman.
You're
But then
right about.
sometimes they drop the ball horribly. Like they did with Justice League that wasn't Zack Snyder's cut. So whatever. But the only thing they have proven is that they are disorganized and they are constantly changing, not for the better, but for the worse. So at this point, what can you expect except more chaos? That's how I look at it. And sometimes chaos, you're like, wow, I found a diamond in the rough. And sometimes it's just rough. So I don't know what that means with their future entities, but I'm not, I'm not giving up hope, but doesn't mean I have any hope either. I'm just kind of neutral with them.
Same, same here. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt of that
But
because
why? But why? You say you don't give them a but why? What have they done that has earned that benefit of the doubt? Like Marvel, I give benefit of the doubt. Like even though some of their latest live shows have kind of flopped or whatever, or semi-flopped, you like listen. You look back at the success, right? Look back at the continued maintained success and what they built. That you could say I give benefit of the doubt, right? But what the hell has what besides their animated stuff? What has the live action Warner Brothers done to earn that benefit of the doubt? Except that you just want it to be good.
well, well for me, I have Titans, I have Doom Patrol, I have I have Smallville, Arrow, Supergirl, um, Batwoman. Um,
Okay, but hear me out. At least the three. Okay, the first two you mentioned, yes, Doom Patrol and Titans, HBO. Like like HBO has the rights to it, right? I mean Warner Brothers. I think Warner Brothers and HBO. I think they're one and one, or they're kind of like one is owned by the other, whatever it is. But Titans and Doom Patrol, I don't think you use them for this example because HBO is the one handling that. Smallville, fair, but Smallville was way in the past. So what's current that you're like, you know what? Because they did good with this, I'm gonna be hopeful. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have hope. I'm just saying like I find it amazing that you're able to find hope when what I've seen in the past couple of years has been, if not failure, things are disorganized.
I completely get that. I mean, that's why I'm giving. That's the main reason why I want to give Swamp Thing a chance. Um, that's why. When did you give up on DC? Because it seems like you gave up way before I did. Because like I've watched certain shows, like even shows like Black Lightning.
No, no.
Cause
So like I
I,
said, I didn't give
cause,
up on them.
cause,
It's I take it
I,
as
cause I
each.
that the Black Static Shock was coming in. That was the main reason
Mhm.
why I watched it. But at the same token, I felt I kind of grew with it until they canceled it.
No,
Until
no, hear me out. Like, yeah, like I said, I didn't give up on DC. It's more as now you because I saw how disorganized they were. I'm like, okay, I gotta take everything that they produce individually. So it's
uh,
more as, yeah. So it's like everything that they produce, one thing at a time. I judge it by itself,
okay,
and
okay,
then collectively, I'm like, okay, if they did 10 things and out of those 10 things, seven of them I think are like failures, then collectively I'm like they've been failing a lot, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Because unfortunately, because of them being disorganized, it's tough to have some type of, timeline, or sometimes things will be messed up. Like the first Wonder Woman was amazing and the second one sucked,
But it was the
you
same.
know? Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. And anything that's more disappointing. You have the same writer, and the first one was great, and the second one, not so much.
Because of the simple fact that they wanted to finish that story off.
There's a lot of other things that I found wrong with it, but that's for another day.
That's for another day. Another day. But next thing we're gonna be talking about is the Spider-Man 4 that I wanted to talk about at the end of this. And after this is my last thing I wanted to talk about because
Yeah.
it's
Side
very
note: if I go silent, it's because my headphones are about to die.
yeah. Cause it's Venom 3 productions are coming in very soon from Direct itself. So Venom 3 is gonna be announcing very very soon. Hopefully we hear about it very
But sorry to excuse. Did y'all talk about Spider Man yet?
yeah. We're talking about Venom 3.
My shit looks fine. All right, you can continue. I'm sorry.
It's cool. Yeah. Venom 3 will be is in production, so hopefully everything is working well with them because I can't wait to see what that gonna be about. Because spoiler alert, it wasn't across the Spider Verse. So please
So,
pay
real
attention.
quick, something I don't know if you saw over I think it was Friday or Thursday, and it relates to Spider-Man. Did you see the trailer for um, Craven?
Yeah, I did.
Yep,
That's
yep. So like
that's
Venom's cool, but
I can't wait.
yep. hmm
That's why I haven't talked about it yet because it's not there yet. I want to give
hmm
everybody time to watch what this month was all about. And
I got you. I got you.
this month, y'all really didn't prepare for this month. Um, but we do have time because there's shows that there's about 16 different shows that I do want to talk about and in the next podcast, probably mid August, because August
Okay.
would give it enough time to be able finish out of Blue Beetle, Flash, Spider, the Flash, Spider Verse, um, Aquaman, not Aquaman, Ant Man. Then I believe what we saw on January, Shazam in January.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I do want to bring that back so we can give enough credences of these shows that we like, even though they're messing up versus CGI or edits.
We'll see. Basically, that. Well, we'll see.
Sure, I'm
That's the best way
sure.
to put it.
I'm sure you want to be able to chime in into that, Mikey. I sure want
Maybe,
to you
maybe once I see
give
it.
give you my critiques, but I will be talking about this again. I know this has been a great podcast. We talked about all six things that I wanted to come across. We collided a lot about different things that was for this month and what's coming as well. Knowing about Marvel's backing up of their shows that was supposed to be coming out this year, but they slowed down the process, and some of these shows will be coming. 2024. We have three shows that's coming out in 2024. Hopefully, we get the new Batman in next year with Robert Pattinson. I believe that that production is almost done. If it's not done, if it's not done, I'm not gonna be really talking about it much. I'll be pretty much rehashing a little bit of things that I believe that we've watched thus far, um, far as for the year. But and, but until then, we will be coming back next month. After this week, um, I won't be coming in. I will be coming in the middle of July, like after, like probably after and before Blue Beetle, because I gotta baptize my son.
All right,
So
sounds good.
I will be keeping you guys up to date. It will be probably the 10th or something like that, right? Let me check my calendar. It'll be actually the oh, the ninth. The ninth is not that bad. Ninth of Sunday of Sunday of July. That's not bad. But yeah, until then, guys, Collide is gonna be out for the night. This is a beautiful clubhouse. I will see you guys next time.
Later.
Later.